will be no deal put in front of Angel Reese anytime soon.
Ice Cube just dropped a bombshell, and it changes everything. The Big Three's $15 million offer, it was never for Angel Reese. It was always for Caitlin Clark.
From the people that want to pay the money. Sponsors. Oh man, Angel Reese fans are gonna be pissed.
Sponsors have spoken. The numbers don't lie, and Reese's empire might be crumbling right in front of us. But why is Clark walking away from life-changing money?
Caitlin Clark, did you turn down $15 million? Oh, that's a boss move.
And how did Reese go from Bayou Barbie to barely making the pitch deck? Stick around, because this story isn't just about contracts. It's about legacy, power, and who really runs women's basketball. Ice Cube just confirmed what fans have been whispering about for months, and it's worse than anyone imagined. The $15 million Big Three deal, the one that shook the sports world, it was never meant for Angel Reese. Not for a second. Ice Cube said it flat out. That money was designed, custom-built, and waiting only for Caitlin Clark. And with one sentence, every illusion around Angel Reese's so-called market power collapsed. Sponsors didn't hedge. They didn't hesitate. They didn't even blink. They told Cube directly, Clark moves the needle. Reese doesn't. Let that sink in, because remember, Reese once looked unstoppable. She was the Bayou Barbie, dripping with confidence, strutting across courts like the future face of women's basketball. Reebok plastered her across campaigns. Social media crowned her the queen. It seemed like nothing could touch her. But now, empty arenas, stalled endorsements, shooting nights so ugly they go viral for the wrong reasons. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark, sidelined with an injury, still managed to steal the entire Chicago All-Star weekend without even touching the floor. Fans lined the streets like she was Michael Jordan coming home. Reese was there smiling for cameras, but no one was watching. And here's the twist that takes this story from shocking to insane. Caitlin Clark turned the deal down. $15 million. Gone with a single no thanks. Who has the power to walk away from $15 million like it's pocket change? Only someone already printing money with Nike deals, signature sneakers, and cultural relevance that sponsors can't get enough of. So the question is, what happens now? Is Caitlin Clark building an untouchable empire while Angel Reese fades into yesterday's news? Or is Reese about to fight back in a way no one sees coming? Stay tuned, because this drama is only getting started. When Ice Cube laid it out, the truth hit like a knockout punch. It wasn't personal. It wasn't politics. It wasn't even about who trash talked better on social media. The entire thing came down to one cold, hard fact. Sponsors only wanted Caitlin Clark. Cube didn't hedge his words. He didn't dance around the question. He told TMZ what every boardroom has already been whispering. Sponsors told us Caitlin moves the needle. That's it. That's the mark. No excuses, no spin. And when you hear it that bluntly, it almost sounds cruel, but it's also impossible to ignore. Because think about what that really means. Sponsors, the people writing the checks, the ones gambling millions on who can sell jerseys, move tickets, and generate ratings, have already chosen their star. And they didn't choose Angel Reese. They didn't even consider her. She wasn't on page 1 of the pitch deck. She wasn't on page 2. By Cube's own words, she wasn't anywhere. Meanwhile, Clark's name is everywhere. She's the headline. She's the business plan. She's the future. The ROI is proven. Arenas sold out. TV ratings double. Jerseys flip like limited edition sneakers. Every metric screams profit. And sponsors don't chase hype. They chase guarantees. That's the brutal difference. Reese built her brand on flash, on the image of the Bayou Barbie, on catchphrases and TikToks. It looked unstoppable until the numbers came in. And those numbers told a story no PR team could spin. Clicks without conversions, buzz without buyers, hype without cash. So when Ice Cube delivered the sponsor reality check, it wasn't just a rejection. It was a reality slap across the face of Reese's entire brand. Because if sponsors don't believe in you, if they don't see the return, there's no million-dollar deal waiting in the shadows. The message couldn't be clearer. Caitlin Clark brings in the money. Angel Reese doesn't. And that's the kind of truth you can't hashtag your way out of. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's a walking phenomenon. Everywhere she goes, the atmosphere changes. Arenas that once struggled to fill the lower bowls suddenly sell out top to bottom. TV networks that were begging for viewers suddenly see ratings spike the moment her name appears on the schedule. It's not hype. It's not smoke and mirrors. It's raw, undeniable star power. When Ice Cube and his team built a $15 million Big Three offer, it wasn't a gamble. They didn't cross their fingers and hope it worked. They ran the numbers. Ticket sales, off the charts. Streaming rights, more valuable with Clark attached. Merchandise, practically guaranteed to sell out. Sponsorship activations, already lined up. Clark wasn't a risk. She was a sure profit. And the crazy part, she hasn't even hit her prime. In just 50 WNBA games, Clark already tied for the third most triple-doubles in league history. 50 games. That's not just impressive. That's historic. That's the kind of thing that cements you as more than a star. It makes you a legend in real time. But her impact isn't just in the stat sheets. Families plan vacations around catching her games. Entire cities light up when she visits. Chicago proved it. She didn't even play during All-Star Weekend, yet the city treated her like Michael Jordan had returned. Crowds lined the streets. Fans screamed her name, and cameras couldn't get enough. Clark owned Chicago without even touching the court. And that's the terrifying part for anyone trying to compete with her. If she can take over a city while injured, imagine what happens when she's at full strength. Imagine what happens when her sneakers launch, when her legacy grows, when her numbers keep climbing. That's why sponsors bet on Caitlin Clark. She doesn't just play basketball. She transcends it. She's not a gamble. She's the guarantee. And in sports, guarantees are priceless. Not long ago, Angel Reese looked unstoppable. She was everywhere. Late-night talk shows, magazine covers, viral TikToks, Reebok campaigns plastered across billboards. She had the nickname, the swagger, the Bayou Barbie brand. She walked into arenas like she owned them. And for a moment, the world believed it. Fans crowned her the new queen of women's basketball. Sponsors lined up, thinking they'd found their golden ticket. But in 2025, the glitter started to fade, and fast. Those packed arenas, empty seats, those endorsements, stalled, delayed, or quietly shelved. Those viral moments, they weren't translating into sales. Behind the smoke and flash, the numbers told a darker story. Campaigns were flatlining. Clicks weren't converting. Retention was non-existent. Brands realized the harsh truth. Reese's online buzz wasn't moving product. She was a headline machine, but not a revenue driver. And in business, hype without cash flow is a dead end. On the court, things weren't any prettier. Ugly shooting nights piled up. That 33% field goal percentage became impossible to ignore. Double-doubles looked less like dominance and more like padded stats. Scouts and sponsors saw through it. And when the stands stayed half empty for games she headlined, the illusion broke completely. The empire Angel Reese built turned out to be scaffolding dressed as a castle. Loud, flashy, towering from a distance, but hollow when you stepped inside. And the most painful part, while Reese was struggling to keep her spotlight, Caitlin Clark was growing bigger by the day. Even sidelined with injury, Clark stole All-Star Weekend out from under Reese's feet in her own city. Fans didn't chase the Bayou Barbie. They screamed for Caitlin Clark. Reese was there, smiling for cameras, but she wasn't the story anymore. Reese had branding. Clark had authenticity. And when the hype ran out, Reese's decline wasn't just noticeable, it was brutal. So now the question is, can Reese reinvent herself before the spotlight fades completely? Or is this the beginning of the end? Chicago was supposed to be Angel Reese's stage, her city, her turf, the All-Star Weekend where the Bayou Barbie would cement herself as the face of women's basketball. The lights were ready, the cameras were waiting, and the spotlight was hers for the taking. But that's not what happened, because even though Caitlin Clark was injured, even though she never touched the floor, the entire weekend turned into a Clark festival. Crowds flooded the streets, screaming her name like Michael Jordan had returned to the city. Fans waved her jerseys, camped out for a glimpse, and treated her like the heartbeat of the sport. Chicago flipped upside down, and Clark owned it without logging a single minute of game time. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was technically there. She smiled for the cameras. She made the PR rounds. She posed for photos. But she wasn't the story. She wasn't even close. In the very city where she was supposed to shine brightest, she became a background character in Clark's show. And that contrast was devastating. Reese, with all the branding, all the self-appointed nicknames, all the flash, was drowned out by the sheer authenticity of Caitlin Clark. Clark didn't need slogans. She didn't need theatrics. She had presence. She had legacy in the making, and sponsors could see it. That weekend became a turning point. The moment the gap between hype and reality grew into a canyon. Clark's influence was so overwhelming, she could dominate headlines from the sidelines. Reese, even at center stage, couldn't compete. And here's the cliffhanger. If Clark can take over a city while injured, what happens when she's back on the floor, healthy and firing on all cylinders? Chicago didn't just crown Caitlin Clark. It exposed Angel Reese. And once fans see the difference with their own eyes, there's no going back. Numbers don't have feelings. They don't care about hype, slogans, or how many TikTok followers you've got. And when it comes to Angel Reese versus Caitlin Clark, the numbers are merciless. Let's start with Caitlin Clark. In just 50 WNBA games, she's already tied for the third most triple-doubles in league history. 50 games. That's not just impressive, that's historic. She's rewriting record books before her rookie contract is even close to finished. Her games, they don't just sell out, they double or even triple the league's average ratings. Entire families plan vacations around catching her play live. Cities stop to watch when she's on the court. That's generational pull. That's what sponsors drool over. Now look at Reese. LSU exhibition against Brazil, she couldn't even half-fill her own arena. Half-empty seats for the supposed face of the game. That's not just a gap, that's a canyon. And investors, advertisers, and scouts see that canyon in every spreadsheet they open. And it gets worse. Reese's defenders love to throw the phrase double-double machine around like it's a shield. But when you're clanking shots and shooting 33% from the field, those rebounds start looking less like dominance and more like desperation. Numbers don't lie, and they don't protect you when your efficiency is that low. Compare that to Clark's stat lines. High efficiency, highlight plays, triple-doubles that spark national headlines. She's not padding stats, she's changing the sport. Sponsors see the same thing fans do. Clark fills arenas, Reese doesn't. Clark spikes ratings, Reese can't. Clark's numbers scream profit, Reese's numbers whisper risk. And when the math is this lopsided, no amount of branding, hashtags, or flashy nicknames can save you. So if Clark is already rewriting history in year 1, what happens by year 5? Year 10? The numbers aren't just telling us who's winning now, they're warning us who won't be around tomorrow. If you really want to know who the market believes in, don't just look at the box scores, look at the merch table. labels. Jersey, sneakers, t-shirts, that's where hype either cashes in or collapses. And in the case of Caitlin Clark versus Angel Reese, the gap is staggering. Clark's jersey isn't just selling, it's dominating. Top 3 across the entire league. Reorders selling out faster than stores can restock, and resellers flipping them online like limited edition Jordans. Parents are buying them for their kids. Collectors are snatching them up like investments. It's not just merchandise, it's a movement. Now compare that to Reese. Her merch barely registers. No sellouts, no resale frenzy, no lines wrapping around stores. In fact, her merchandise is such a non-factor that in boardrooms, executives don't even bother running the projections. Why waste the ink? The demand isn't there. And that's the kind of metric that speaks louder than any social media campaign. Because jerseys don't lie. People either spend their money on you or they don't. And right now, they're voting with their wallets for Caitlin Clark. Think about it. Every time Clark steps on the court, it's not just a game, it's an event. Fans want the shirts, the cups, the sneakers, the CC1S that haven't even dropped yet. She's become a brand without even trying. Meanwhile, Reese is stuck chasing hashtags and hoping clicks will somehow turn into sales. But clicks don't fill closets. Jerseys do. That's why Cube and the sponsors didn't hesitate. Merchandise is the purest test of star power. And Clark passed with flying colors. Reese, she didn't even make the scoreboard. So here's the cliffhanger. If Clark's jersey is already moving like this before her signature sneaker even hits the shelves, what happens when the CC1S finally launch? Will Reese's brand even exist in the same conversation? At first glance, Angel Reese looked like she had it all figured out. She had the nickname Bayou Barbie. She had the slogans, the TikToks, the photo ops. She had the fashion, the attitude, the brand. But here's the cold truth. Branding can only take you so far. And when the lights dim, the numbers decide who stays and who fades. Reese's strategy was built on flash. She made college games feel like fashion shows, strutted around like the queen of a new era. And for a while, the world bought it. Social media ate it up. Campaigns rolled in. It looked like she was about to run the table. But business doesn't care about noise. Business doesn't care about slogans. Business cares about return on investment. And that's where Caitlin Clark leaves Reese in the dust. Clark doesn't need to crown herself anything. She doesn't need a nickname to sell jerseys. Her numbers speak louder than any catchphrase. Triple doubles, record-breaking stats, historic wins. That's the kind of authenticity sponsors drool over. Fans aren't just watching her, they're following her, buying her jerseys, clearing out her merch, lining up her sneakers that haven't even dropped yet. Meanwhile, Reese's flashy image is collapsing under the weight of reality. Agencies ran the numbers and saw the conversions weren't there. Clicks didn't become buyers. Views didn't become sales. And when brands realized hype wasn't equal to profit, the phones stopped ringing. That's the difference. Branding makes you look good for a moment. Business decides if you last. And in that equation, Clark is authenticity, a proven product. Reese is smoke and mirrors, a risky investment. So here's the cliffhanger. When the smoke clears, who do you think the sponsors will still be writing checks for? The player with viral nicknames or the one rewriting history in real time? Turning down $15 million. Just let that sink in. $15 million. Gone with a single no thanks. For most athletes, that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The kind of deal you sign without even blinking. But Caitlin Clark, she walked away like it was pocket change. That's not arrogance. That's leverage. That's superstar power on a level women's basketball has never seen before. Because here's the thing. Clark didn't need Ice Cube's $15 million. She's already printing money. Nike deals? Locked in. A signature sneaker line? On the way. Partnerships with brands that can't keep up with demand? Already secured. She's not chasing checks. The checks are chasing her. And that's what makes her position so untouchable. Most players have to say yes. Most players have no choice. But Clark, she can dictate the terms. She can say no to Cube and still stack endorsements that dwarf that offer. She's operating from a position of power that flips the script complete. Meanwhile, think about what that rejection means for Angel Reese. Clark is so valuable she can afford to say no. Reese, on the other hand, is scrambling for scraps, clinging to the few sponsorships she has left. When one player turns down generational money while the other can't even land the meeting, the comparison becomes brutal. And Ice Cube himself summed it up best. I'm not in the business of losing money. That wasn't just a line. That was the verdict. Cube wasn't offering Clark $15 million because she was popular. He offered it because he knew she'd make it all back and more. That's leverage you can't fake. If Clark has the power to turn down $15 million today, what number will it take to finally make her say yes? When you step back from the headlines, the stats, and even the Ice Cube drama, one truth becomes impossible to ignore. Caitlin Clark isn't just a player. She's the future, the face of the WNBA, the heartbeat of the sport. Everywhere she goes, she pulls crowds like a rock star. She doesn't just fill arenas, she transforms them into spectacles. She doesn't just sell jerseys, she makes them status symbols. She doesn't just play games, she creates moments that live forever. That's what legacy looks like in real time. And sponsors know it. Boardrooms know it. Fans know it. Clark is stacking wealth, history, and cultural relevance all at once. She's not just endorsing brands, she's becoming one herself. From Nike deals to her signature CC1 sneakers to partnerships that stretch across industries, she's building an empire brick by brick. Now look at Angel Reese. Once the queen of the Bayou, once the social media darling, now struggling to hold on to a brand that already feels like yesterday's news. Empty seats, fading headlines, sponsorship exits. She's not dictating the culture, she's chasing it. And unless she reinvents herself completely, she risks becoming a footnote in a league that Clark is actively shaping. And that's the bigger picture. This isn't just about who got Cube's offer. It's not even just about who sells more jerseys or who pulls more ratings. It's about who defines women's basketball for the next decade, who sets the standard, who builds the legacy that others will be measured against. Clark has already proven she's that player. Reese, she's fighting not to be forgotten.